Okay, welcome everyone to the WPATX Beginners Meetup. It's fantastic to hear voices, know that people are safe out there in this wonderful world this wonderful world. I'm glad you all can make it. I know it's been uh, it's been a struggle not getting to meet up face to face, but I'm glad that there's still activity going on. So, very excited. Today we are going to be talking about the Gutenberg uh, content editor. But before we jump in, I do want to remind you all that there's going to also be the e-commerce meetup this Monday at 7 o'clock. The details are in meetup.com, so please feel free to um, attend that one as well. It's run by Toyin and Sandy Batik, and they are fantastic people, and I hope you learn a lot from them as well. Today, I'm going to be brave, I'm going to be daring, and I don't have any slides. We're going to do live demo. Isn't that exciting? Let me get it. All right. So, this would be a great time to do show of hands if we were in person, but speak up, I suppose. Who's familiar with Gutenberg? Who has used Gutenberg or who has avoided Gutenberg? All right. Probably, yeah, a lot of people saying never heard of it, looked at it yesterday, not sure what it is. And that's quite all right. It's only been out for almost 2 years now, I suppose, whenever WordPress 5.0 came into being. And Gutenberg, or the new WordPress editor, is the replacement for the old box that used to be the tiny MCE WYSIWYG editing experience for creating content, such as pages and blogs, so on and so forth. To demonstrate, let's go look at what an old look was. Okay, so the old text editor looked exactly like this. This is the old editor. It was a single box with controls up in the top to mimic what you want out of a page opposed to content. You could toggle between the visual aspects or the raw text in order to see the straight HTML, and it was quite straightforward. Served us for many, many years, over a decade, and to be honest, it was aging. It was aging pretty fast. It was familiar, but it was definitely aging. Uh, so WordPress core, the wonderful community, decided that we need to fix this. We need to update this. So they introduced what is called Gutenberg. And Gutenberg, the new WordPress block editor, looks a whole lot better. It's more straightforward. It's a cleaner representation of what you will actually see on the front end, editable on the back end. For clarity, and one of the things that was really kind of confusing, but kind of maybe also taken in the wrong direction, was that this was going to replace things like Beaver Builder or Divi or WP Bakery. And in its initial release, Gutenberg definitely was just a content editor, not a full page editor. And one very distinct way of looking at that is to go and visit the site, and you'll notice that the entire header, the entire footer is not editable by Gutenberg. Gutenberg is very strictly where'd I go? Very strictly just the content. It's just the page. So if there was any doubt or confusion, I'm going to throw that out there. If anyone has any hesitations on using Gutenberg, then I highly recommend, before jumping in, before trying it, before playing it, installing the Classic Editor plugin. The Classic Editor was developed by the WordPress contributors, so the community itself, and it allows you the ability in settings, writing, to turn off the block editor. Right, turn off Gutenberg, go back to the old until you're really ready to dive in full speed ahead. Right, and that would bring us back to our old tiny MCE text editor. When you are ready to jump in and you have content already, you have old content, then whenever you come and edit it, Gutenberg, or the content editor, the block editor, is going to do its best to preserve exactly what you have. And it's done this, as you can see, by wrapping all of the old content in what is called the classic block. So it has preserved your old content as is, while still using the new block editor. One very awesome feature, when you're ready to, is you can take anything inside of the classic block and convert it to blocks. But before I click on this, let's dive into what blocks even are. So, blocks are the foundation of the editor. They are individual components that will make up the totality of your content. WordPress comes with several blocks already, and you can also install additional plugins to add more blocks. By default, the first block that starts is a paragraph block, as you can see up in here. But say we want to add something else, we can add a block, or in the top left, add a block. And we have all sorts of options of what kind of content or snippets of content we want to add. So I'm going to start with a heading. That'll work. Now if we come look at this, it should show us exactly what we saw here. Just like that. And you notice we don't have the header or the footer in our edit screen, which using things like Divi or Beaver Builder would allow you to create and generate. So that's blocks. In a nutshell, blocks can do a lot of amazing things. They can do a lot of small things, and we'll go into a lot more of the details of what they're capable of. But just as an overview, all of the content is created using a compilation of blocks. All right, so we were in our classic block because this used to be content built with the old editor that we want to convert to the new one. Live demo, convert to blocks. what do we have? What do we have? We now have a heading block, paragraph block as expected, quote block as expected, another heading, and a list block. So we were able to take the old content that was straight HTML and convert it into independent blocks and have it all set up ready for the new editor. Update that. And if we look at our site, it still looks the exact same, just as it should. So let's play around. Let's build a page. We already have our slug up here, which is a title, so it may not be the best idea to add another header. But if we could come in and add an image. Images are always fun, aren't they? Pictures. Look at that pretty cat. So, inside of a block, you have a few different places that you can edit its settings. And that's one of the more powerful things about blocks as opposed to the old editor, is the ability to really adjust it to make it look exactly as you want. We can align this image on the page. We can change what size this image would be. We can either make it completely full width, so it'll take up the entire page, or we can just keep it nice and small like that. So that's my cat. My cat's name is Nico. And Nico has a lot of pictures, so if I ever wanted to change it out, write a different picture, or insert a different picture, then in the image block, we can also replace by using the media library, upload straight from our computer, or insert from a URL. These three different dots are also additional options. So we can add a new block above it, below it. We can duplicate it. We can edit what will be the final HTML. And we'll get to these two in a moment. This is also where we would come remove a block. I also want to note the keyboard shortcuts that you can use to also do these things. For those of you who are joining us now, I wanted to call out that we are streaming this on YouTube Live, which will eventually be saved as a video. So if there's anything you missed, don't worry about it. You can always rewatch the video later. I'll make sure that the links to that video are posted in meetup.com. All right, back to our image. We have my cat, Nico. We can adjust some stylings to it. We can add alternate text. We can change the size of it in general, which would probably be helpful. That was a pretty big picture. Or we can get exact dimensions. And all of these options over here on the sidebar are going to be different depending on the block. For those developers out there, whenever you are creating blocks, you have full and complete control of what sort of options you want to allow the end user to use in order to configure the final display of the content. Let's add something else. What should we talk about with my cat? We're going to add some columns. The default column block is a great way to start adding structured layout to your content. And one thing you'll see as you use other blocks is this preset variations, as they call them, block variations. And these are just configurations that have already been set up to help jumpstart what you may be trying to do. So they're very common uses and patterns. You can skip it if you want, but I don't think we need to. And we're just going to do a split 2-column page. And now inside of these columns, we can add additional blocks. We can also select the column block in its totality, kind of the wrapper around the 2 columns, and add additional settings like additional columns, background colors, whatever has been made available by the developer of that block. Now is a good time to point out, however, say we have some information in here, like my cat Nico, it's the best. Now I need to come back to that larger block, but it might be a little bit difficult to kind of select the bigger size. So we have 2 different ways of really drilling down or drilling up to the exact block that you want. We have up here in this top, the block navigation, or Shift-Alt-O, and that gives us a drop down of where we are and all of the parents of that block. So I can select the columns block, and now you see I have full control over everything else. The second option is down at the bottom, where we have a sort of breadcrumb layout telling us exactly where we are. So I can select columns, and there I am back again. Navigating your blocks or rearranging their layout can be handled in one of 2 ways. To the left, we have a up or down where we can adjust it, or our handle here, we can grab it and drag it to where we want. And I'm going to add one more thing to show. I'm going to show our latest posts. Isn't that beautiful? We got 1 in there. So if I needed to move more than 1 block, I can drag and select. And there we go. I have 2 different blocks selected now. So with these blocks, I can move them all together, up or down. But you'll notice I missed a little handle, so that no more dragging. I can only click to adjust it up and down. I can also group these blocks together on this page, which would allow me to no longer have to select all of them if it was something that I commonly moved about for whatever reason, but instead they're now a group. And in this group, I can also, for both blocks, adjust different common styles or apply classes to them. So it's a good way of structuring multiple blocks together in a way that makes it easier for you to manage or style. And I can also save any block, grouped or not, as a reusable block. So I really like my picture of my cat here. So we're going to add to my reusables Nico block. Now, whenever I come down here to add a new block, I have a selection of blocks that I've already saved. So this is a good way to create templates for yourself in a sense of common design or common content, common patterns that you might reuse over and over and over again. So if I add my Nico block, then there it is, just the same, my Nico block. I can edit the name of it, or I can come and convert it back to its original state of just an image block. Isn't that neat? One thing that I've noticed already, there seems to be a lot of blocks, but I haven't been able to find a lot of use out of them personally. Yes, it's all the common things, right? Things that we would normally use, but it does seem rather lacking, in my opinion. And this is where plugins come into play. Go ahead and update that. So there are a myriad of plugins that provide additional blocks. Right? Advanced Gutenberg comes with 27 additional blocks. We have Page Builder Gutenberg blocks by CodeBlocks with 10 plus new blocks. Atomic blocks, additional blocks. Ultimate blocks, provide additional blocks. Stackable, more blocks. Right? There are a lot of options for extending out the blocks you have at your disposal. So I'm going to come enable a few. Right now I've activated atomic blocks, co-blocks, and cadence blocks. Let's go see what has changed. All right. Right out the gate, I see a new icon up in the top right. I see a layout right here. That's new. And let's just take a peek at our list of blocks. Now we have galleries that we can play with. That's fancy. We have our list of cadence blocks. So we have an advanced button, row layouts, icon list, an accordion, testimonials, even a form. We have additional layout elements like a whole author pre-configured author layout, food and drinks. Yeah, so as you can see, there's just a lot of additional things we can do now, right? It's starting to seem more usable, more common. Add a GIF, add an icon. This is really awesome. We're getting there. One thing in particular I'll call out is the atomic blocks layouts. Now this is all free. I haven't spent a single dime on it, but Atomic Blocks has a way to insert pre-configured layouts, and straightforward. So these are very common design patterns that you would see when building a site that they've already set up that you can insert into your site as quick as day. And then you still have the ability to come in and edit everything. So it's just a very good way of giving you a head start. And Cadence Blocks has even more functionality. Where'd it go? They have, I've seen it before. maybe I was thinking of something else. There's one of them that allows you to set global. Oh, no, this isn't. Yeah. So globally, for every single time you use the cadence icon list, you could now come in and set the default values of how it will look and behave and feel. And I think that's really awesome as well. So just about at the end of it, what I want to make sure is expressed is that while it seems new, it seems daunting, it seems scary, and if you have a lot of content already, it may be a lot of work to come and update everything. But I can say with definite confidence that you should try it. You should definitely try it. I would start by only opening exactly what you want to edit, because if you have old content and you have the Gutenberg editor enabled, then that old content won't update until you come and click edit and come and make changes. So even with Gutenberg enabled, everything will work as is, and you can come start one page at a time, one post at a time, and make your updates. I also would highly encourage you doing all of your testing in any sort of local or staging environment just to be safe, and always, always, always make backups. I hope that was helpful. I'm going to stop the stream, but I am going to stay online for all of the Q&A.